Okay, so apologies if you hear my AC. I'm literally right under it. But what's up, y'all? Sparty here. Now, this isn't going to be an LG G7 video at all. It's just the phone I'm deciding to keep in the as the phone I use for obvious, you know, just to have something in the frame. But this video is going to be me talking about my experience with Samsung updates and why I feel this whole 4 years of constant OS updates, you get an update every month kind of schedule is quite frankly kind of fucked. And I don't mean to swear in literally the first minute, but it's kind of jank, and I'll go in detail my reasons as to why right now. So the my Samsung journey obviously started with like the Note 3. My biggest Samsung push is when I had the Note 5 on this channel in particular. Um, that's when I did my LG V20 versus Note 5 video, that like what 30,000 view video, which is crazy. I didn't expect that ever to happen, but people are still watching. It's kind of weird. And I went over to the Note 8. The Note 7 had its kerfuffle. Went over to the Note 8, loved that phone. Had that with the V30, loved both those phones. Then the Note 10 came out, and that's when I was about to say Apple. I don't know why, but that's when Samsung decided, well, to Applefy their phone strategy and not only release freaking two Galaxy S's they also wanted to release two Notes. And this is when they did the Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus. Then the next year they did the Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. And that is the last of the Notes. And what happened after that is that's around the time Samsung decided to say that we will be putting out 4 years of software updates starting with these phones. And the S10 series is when they had the cutoff. Essentially, those are the phones that they're going to start with the 4 year updates thing. So I think the S10s and the Note 10s are going to be good till I think next year. I believe. I really don't remember. I believe so. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. But overall, I do feel like this is a very important thing to bring up because this is what a lot of tech reviewers bring up as a good move by Samsung. And on paper, it is a good move. I'm not trying to sit here and say that you should be supplying your phones with a very good amount of updates. I'm not trying to sit here and say that supplying your phones with updates is a bad thing. But there's good and there's bad when it comes to this. And with Samsung, I feel there's honestly just as much of amount of bad as there is good. Let me talk about my experiences with the S20 FE and the S21 Ultra. So the Note 10, I actually didn't really have that many issues with. When it got updated to Android 12, it actually ran pretty goddamn good. The fingerprint sensor got noticeably faster, and honestly, the phone was just really good to use. I really didn't have any sort of issues with it whatsoever when it came to the overall performance of it. So that phone, funnily enough, was probably the best phone for me to have used at the time when it came to Samsung phones. The S20 FE. I love the S20 FE. You guys seen it on my channel. I've covered it quite a bit. It's probably the last Samsung phone. It's probably the last best bang for buck Samsung phone that has a high end chipset in it, has MST in the States, and it has SD card support. And it has 120 hertz. It has a very good screen. It has very capable cameras. It's not like the 108 megapixel super big camera sensor type deal, but irregardless, the megapixel setup and the overall camera setup on that phone is very good, and it has a very good selfie camera. It's to boot, so there's really no issue with it. When I first got the phone, I think I got it after it had its initial overheating issues where there was just some weird thing where S20 FEs were overheating, so Samsung had to patch it to make that go away. And I didn't have any problems with it up until the first update to Android 12. Android 12 is when the problems really didn't ensue with the S20 FE. When that update first came out, that's where I had my overheating issues. The camera was super laggy. Like it was pretty much unusable for like 2 weeks until Samsung decided to patch it up, and then after that 2 weeks it was fine. And that's when they patched it and made sure the overheating issues went away and made sure the camera lag stuff went away. That stuff that that stuff that just doesn't that isn't there, and it was good that they decided to fix that up. Now, the main problem child, the S20 FE was pretty bad, but overall I give it like a 7 out of 10. Especially from the price to the amount of times updates actually borked my phone. I would say it's around like a 7 out of 10. I mostly had a good experience with the S20 FE when it comes to Samsung devices and their update strategy. The S21 Ultra, though, let's talk about that. So, the S21 Ultra, it was great for like when I first got it to like the end of 2021, there really weren't that many issues. But the problems that I would always run into is like every other month there would be battery draw issues. Like it would just sometimes randomly one month I'd get like 7 to sometimes even 8 hours of screen on time on the phone, and another month I would get like 5 to 6. And the phone didn't necessarily overheat, but it was kind of par for the course for the Snapdragon 888. If you guys have 888 phones, like I'm using the One Mark III right now. You know these phones with 888s get pretty toasty, so it's not necessarily something that I'm going to sit here and just hark on Samsung for. But it's something that I did want to bring up is that the heat was not that bad until I got my One Mark III. Then all of a sudden, oh, the phone decided to get pretty goddamn toasty all of a sudden. And gaming performance would suffer also from update to update. It was kind of weird. Camera performance also would suffer from update to update as well, where sometimes the it was a particular issue for like at least consecutive updates in a row where the 108 megapixel mode would just have terrible focusing. And not only have terrible focusing, but it was as if it was taking the photo the frame after I actually took the shot. like after I pressed the shutter button rather. That's where I felt like it was actually taking the shot, was like a frame after I decided to hit the shutter button. And that honestly would get me very blurry photos a lot of the time. Bluetooth, both reception and overall battery performance would suffer from update to update. It was crazy, man. Like, and people on the Samsung forums, on the subreddits, can sit here and say, "Oh, but you go into this and do that." It's like, I don't. Why is it with Samsung phones I have to do all of this stuff and able to get passable battery? Passable battery. But on every other phone, it's V60. Prime example. I never have to go into any settings and change this and make sure these things aren't getting your location and do all this. Like, why do I have to do that? Shouldn't the phone by default give you the battery life it proposes to you? Like, I never had to do anything on my One Mark III to get it to have the battery life that it has gotten, which has been pretty goddamn good. Is it is it V60 or 12 Pro, 13 Pro Max? No, they're not. None of these phones with high refresh rates and 4K screens are not gonna get to that anytime soon. But overall, I do feel like what really irked me about Samsung and what eventually made me drop them, it was just the fact that these updates harmed the overall quote unquote premium experience that everybody creams over when it comes to a Samsung phone. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have to go into settings, disable some stuff just so I can get passable battery life. Like, to me that's not amazing. Oh, and you know it's funny? I'm getting a high temperature warning on my One Mark III. That's kind of funny. But see how bad it ain't even that hot. It ain't even that bad. Um whatever. I'm gonna just keep doing it. What was I saying? But yeah, overall, I do feel like this whole move to every single phone company needs to do what Samsung does, to the point where even now they're saying it with nothing, where the nothing people are harking on the nothing phone, even though it just came out. Why it doesn't have Android 13 yet? And it's like, the phone just came out. Can you calm down? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't, to sit here and say that every phone needs to copy what this phone does and do it the same way. Not everyone has the same amount of resources as Samsung, and quite frankly, even with the resources Samsung has, they're not doing that great. They're not doing that great. You can have all this copium you want. You can take all the copium you want when it comes to these Samsung phones and their update issues. But for me personally, I just don't see the issue with waiting until an update is actually ready to send it out. Like, that's what I've been getting with Sony, and I've enjoyed it. That's what I got with LG, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I never had any problems on my V60. Whenever an update came out, didn't have any problems. But every time a Samsung phone would update, I would have to think, is this gonna fix the stuff I have problems with, or is it gonna add on to it? And more often than not, it would just add on to it, and that's just what I don't like. But anyway, let this phone cool down. That's all I really want to say with this. I meant to make this video a long time ago, but I've been busy. Okay, I've been busy. This is Sparta. Thanks for watching. Thanks for support. I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, whatever time of day it is in the area. Like the video if you like it, show people that are interested in this sort of content, and have a good one.